Hello and welcome to our special video series, The Car Dealer Problem Solvers. I'm James Bagger, I'm the founder of Car Dealer magazine, and joining me from Sentience Automotive Solutions is the MD, Ali May-Khalil. Good morning, Ali, how are you?
Hi James, yeah, I'm good, thanks. All good, thank you very much. You?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Thanks ever so much. We've got some interesting stuff to be talking about today. As we speak, we're just gearing up for the new tiered restrictions coming in place on December the 2nd.
I'm still trying to figure out what it all means, to be honest. We've got, can I or can't I have a beer? But they are, yeah.
Well, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what your tier is. So I can't ask.
We're in tier 2, which means that basically we're still locked down, but we can go out and members of our own household. But I've been doing that for 9 months. Kind of hoping to hang out with a few friends. So that's
it's certainly a confusing picture, and it is for our dealers watching this too. So yeah. We thought we'd get together for this problem solver, didn't we? And have a discussion about some top tips for that reopening. I mean, dealers have been closed during this period of lockdown from December the 2nd. In all tiers, they are going to be allowed to reopen. They're going to be able to carry on business as they were in that COVID secure manner before. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, there'd be dealers sat in their showrooms at the moment, empty, probably having to plan for that reopening next week. What should they be focusing on?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll start by saying, look, I haven't got all the answers. You know, yes, we're a consultancy. We work with our dealers. We're a small bespoke consultancy. We work with independents of 30, 40 cars all the way up to, dealer groups. It might be one day with them just to help them write a business plan. It might be a project to grow them into whatever size. So, the first thing I'd say is, yes, we have that experience, but also I'm acutely aware that, I don't know it all. We don't know it all. But I'm going to share with you some of the experiences really about that, and what I think that people should, maybe 4 or 5 areas that perhaps must be considered and written into some form of plan. But I guess a bit of a thing for me is if you're not sure where to go as a dealer, or you think, do you know what, I'd like a third pair of eyes on that. That's what we do. We're not got the magic wand, but it's just to challenge the status quo and get them in shape. And hopefully some of these tips will support that.
So what would be your first one when it comes to these dealer bosses looking at their businesses ahead of next week?
Well, probably the first thing I'd say is be open 24 hours a day. You think of a typical John Lewis, they've got their physical stores, but they've got their online store. So you could buy a saucepan at 3 a.m. if you wanted to, Car dealers tend to, some are excellent at it, I might add. But if you're sitting there thinking, oof, I'd really encourage you to think about being a retailer, not a dealer, being a car retailer, not a car dealer. So how do I retail my products and services 24 hours a day and build that trust and react online to inquiry? So is my website set up for e-commerce? Can they book services and MOTs on the website? Can they leave reservations? Can they apply for finance? Is it clear, with a little shopping basket as to how they can, step 1, apply for finance, step 2, leave a reservation fee, step 3, choose the vehicle, step 4, drive it away same day, click and collect, whatever. It's business that will take a real care over their digital proposition. We're going to find those extra units. So just have a winter clean. Physical showrooms will be running around now, probably getting everything spot on for the reopening. Make sure the bins are emptied, everything's looking great. But how clean is your website? How clean is your digital proposition? Because that's going to be selling your cars after your physical store is shut.
Certainly been a focus for the motor trade, hasn't it? The digital as throughout this year.
Well, I mean, it was always coming, wasn't it? Let's be honest. The motor trade has been behind everybody for ages. So, they've been selling T-shirts online for a long time. So, yes, it's certainly brought it forward. And then, of course, the entrance into the market that we've seen, Cinch, Kazoo, because I'm getting a lot of airtime out there. Big businesses, a lot of stock. And I think the way in which it's been reported, of course, has pushed it even further into the minds of dealers, doesn't it? They're probably thinking, do I need to be getting involved in a bit of that?
Yeah.
But you need a really robust digital. It's not as straightforward, just get a website, Is it interactive? Do you know your numbers around it? How much video content is on there? What's the traffic? You really need to to grip that. And it doesn't matter how big you are as a dealer. When we work with dealers, you know, I've got dealers 30, 35 cars. I was talking about to a colleague in here this morning, and getting that bit right is the difference between an extra 4 or 5 deals a month. Now, of course, if they're making £1,000 a car across the course of the year, that's 60,000, 50,000, which pays a lot of wages.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you're open 24/7. What would be your next tip?
Customer experience is making sure that there isn't any kind of discrimination between the effort you make for the physical customer and the digital customer. You know, we've fallen all over the customer on the forecourt, the test drive booking, they're a proper lead, proper customer, and all those other sort of cliches. And the digital one, whether it comes through social media, whether it comes through email, website, you know, a third party, isn't quite as viewed as important, which skews your conversion rates. So, you know, you'll give somebody a show around the car physically, won't you? You know, you'll let them look at it, you'll sit them in it, all these sorts of things. What I'm suggesting dealers do is have a digital sales process as well. So when somebody makes an inquiry, what's your speed of response? Are you then able to very quickly switch to perhaps a video tour of the car? You know, you could do it on FaceTime, can't you? You know, you just show them around the car, but, you know, WhatsApp, whatever. You know, what does your digital sales process, how much value are you adding? What experience are you giving a customer that isn't physically in your showroom? So that, you know, really work on a blended approach, I would say.
We've got our used car awards judging process coming up soon, and we start when we do that on a dealer's website, and we judge all of those things that you mentioned because we know it's really, really important to customers. But it's amazing how many dealers forget it, Ali. Actually,
they do, and digital customers a lot of the time do feel like second-class citizens.
Yep.
You know, they do, because they phone up, they might get on, they might put in it, you know, get some sort of message back, you know, ask for information, doesn't come back, don't get a response. And those that say, yes, certainly, tell you what time can I call you? Let's have a video call, show you around the vehicle, you know, build that trust, show them the V5, show them it's got 2 keys, the book pack, you know, walk around the alloys to assure them that they're not scuffed and horrible. Those small differences, and having a blended approach to the way you do your appointments, the way that you overcome objections, the way that you are transparent with the product and the finance offer and whatever, builds that trust and heightens that customer experience. It just requires a bit of nous, and we're doing a lot with our smaller dealers at the moment, well, any sort of dealer really, and sales teams, on making sure their digital sales process is spot on, because you just increase your conversion rate.
Yeah, and it's definitely absolutely critical. So customer experience, what's next?
Social media, we covered it. I'm not going to bang on about it on this one. We covered it on the last session. You know, get serious about it. Okay, don't put a couple of posts of a car for sale and then, well, we didn't sell it. Social media's crap, doesn't work. Okay, it's a long game. It's a brand build. It's about visibility and reaching passive audiences. So if you take your typical classifieds, you know, Auto Trader, Motors, eBay, you know, they're all good, I'm sure. Point I'm making is that that's really only talking to people who are looking to buy a car. What about all the people that aren't, but might be up for a deal, you know, stimulating that buying cycle with a passive audience? And the most cost-effective way of doing that, and the easiest way, is through social media. Building a brand presence, getting to know your business. Something daft recently, we had a dealer client of ours, you know, football shirt day and a bit of banter with what shirts they're wearing, things like that. But it's still building an online presence, still building trust. That, do you know what you think? Get my car MOT'd there when it's red, or oh look at that customer, that looks like a good deal. Get serious about it and get out to passive customers. More leads are to be had.
Yeah, the one that really stood out from the last problem solve that we did for me on this social media topic was that dealer success story in Norwich, I think it was, who managed to buy all of those cars by saying,
still doing it as well,
hyper targeting the owners, and they had huge success with it. So if people missed that one, they should probably go back and watch the last problem solve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those that do it properly, and these guys outsource it. Most outsource it. Okay. Not all. There's some dealer clients of ours that do a brilliant job of social media, absolutely kill it, and they do it all in-house. But many don't have the time nor the resource, so they outsource it.
Yeah.
But you just need to be careful who you outsource it to, because of course you don't want cut and paste. You don't want generic, just anyone can just post pictures of cars. You need to build a store, you need to build a brand. And our dealers work with a partner business of ours that does very well for that, specific for the motor trade. But you know, buying cars, selling cars, it's about lead generation across a more consistent period of time. So if you view social media as a 12-month annual, you know, strategy of, if you've got workshops or if not just car sales, of just how do we make sure that we are interacting with our customers whilst they're in those early stages. So you get into the customer first, because the thing with social media is that the finance penetration is much higher because you're talking to the customer before they've sourced their loan from somewhere else. You know, before they've thought about buying a car and, you know, borrowed it from Tesco's or Sainsbury's Bank or HSBC or whatever. And that is where people who are serious about social media do very well, because they're getting in early.
Probably a New Year's resolution for some dealers to really take social media seriously.
Well, you know, James, again, like I said at the start, I don't know everything, but I do know this, is that if a dealer is not going to commit to where there's billions of people hanging around on social media and a passive audience and doing it properly, I suspect that you know, they will be doing themselves a serious disservice, particularly off the back of what we said earlier about digital. You know, get in there and get doing it.
Yeah. You
cannot just rely on the classifieds.
Okay, social media covered. What's next up?
Sales process. Now, this is a bit old school, James, I'm afraid. Everyone getting their knickers in a twist about digital and all this kind of new sort of fancy cool stuff. But you know what? Let's not lose sight of the fact that it's still a sales game. And to do that, we need to have a sales process. And one of the things that many of these digital propositions miss, or physical, is they don't actually ask for the business. We don't actually talk like we're going to end up with a deal. So if we think about whether it's online or whether it's in more so physical, I would say, is, are dealers offering all the products available compliantly or otherwise, if they're insurance, regulated, GAP, things like that. But where in the sales process are they being spoken about? Are they all at the end? Typically, whether it's online or whether it's in store, is selling the car, get a part exchange price, blah, 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 boom, get to the end. Oh, do you want a GAP? Do you want an extended warranty? Do you want a paint protection? No, thanks. Okay, fine, no problem. So you built no value during the process. So you wonder why you're not making any money out of them. So what I'd encourage Top Tips to look at, or will help you look at, plug, how do we make sure that we're maximizing every sale? And at what stage of that journey do we need to be talking about the products, making them relevant and making them visible? Because dealers are not making, generally, there's many that do great, but the ones we look at it, they are miles away from their true, opportunity. They see the car as the holy grail, but the products and the finance commission is integral. So take it seriously, but work a process so that you can really sweat that area of the business.
So sales process, old school, we like that.
Love a bit of old school. You've got to make some money eventually, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else that these dealers should be focused on before?
Yeah, set some targets. Set some KPIs. If you want to use a snazzy slogan, we all know what KPIs, targets, goals, measurement. Where many businesses fail is they don't measure. They say they do, but they don't. And I would, what is your monthly stock turn? How many cars do you need to buy a week if you're going to run campaigns? What is your income per unit delivered? I.e., for every car you sell, as an average, how much are you making out of finance and associated products? Do you measure that every month, every deal? Cost per sale, what's it actually cost? So when going back to social media, we're talking to a dealer who do social media very well, £13 cost per sale. So for every 13 quid they spend on social media, they get a deal. That is cheap.
Yeah.
But they know the number. It didn't start at that. It started way higher, but you figure out what works for you, what doesn't. Because you've got that KPI, that target, you sweat it, don't you? You push it. So what is your cost per sale? Leads per week. How many leads is your business generating per week, and from where? Understand that, get it in your sales funnel, because you'll have different conversion rates for different leads. It's a bit scientific, I guess, but really getting to the bones of that, whatever size your business, there's something I'm particularly passionate about, is that why wouldn't we spend more money attracting leads that make us more money? But if we don't know that, how we just scattering cash everywhere and hoping for the best. So really, I'd say, you know, get your funnel right, get your sales funnel right, get your KPIs within your sales funnel right, understand the flow through your sales funnel, where it's all coming from and what it's worth to you in the pocket. And then before that, the things we've spoken about will help facilitate that. But ultimately, without pulling it all together, you've got no chance.
Ali, there's going to be, there's a very good chance there could be a big rush into dealers, couldn't there, as they open up last week. I think the pent-up demand will probably make a bit of a comeback. That could lead to some of these dealers slipping back into old habits and some pitfalls. I mean, what advice would you give them to kind of to take this moment to reset, and how can they make sure that they continue to do that?
Well, get some support. So make sure you're accountable to somebody. We act as that for independence, because who holds the owner accountable? So just or if you don't need us or somebody similar, then make sure that you're having regular reviews of your business every month. Somebody sitting down, looking at those numbers and questioning them and saying, why is that number? Because it'll force you into different behaviors. On a more sort of micro level, taking the deposit, selling the car isn't good enough. And the old habits is, yes, we've got a lead, you know, we've done a deal, get it on the board, isn't enough. You know, what is our gap penetration? What is our extended warranty penetration? What is our finance penetration? On what cars? What cars are turning faster than others? So think of it, I guess really in conclusion, for that question, would be look at the whole deal. To stop you falling back into old habits, look at the whole deal. If that car's going to be sold without any products on it and the customer's got no part exchange, are you better off hanging on to that car and selling to somebody with a retail part exchange? So it's trying to look at the whole picture of how you run your sales operation. By doing so, hopefully will stop you slipping back into the just snatching at deals, rushing your process, because over the course of time, that will hurt your business.
Ali, thank you very much for your time today. Hugely helpful as always. I think we'll be watching with interest the dealers reopening next week, and I think that advice will really, really help them. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure, and wish all the dealers well for the reopening, and let's hope it stays that way. Eh?
Super. Ali, thanks ever so much. So if you want more car dealer problem solver videos like this one, you can log on to cardealermagazine.co.uk and click on the knowledge tab at the top of the page. If you've got any questions for Ali or I, you can send them to me. It's james@blackbullmedia.co.uk. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks ever so much for joining us. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.